We are back in San Francisco, where it is the Race for 8 by Edel Handball. My name is Dave Vincent, alongside Dave Fink. Paul Brady from Ireland up against Abraham Montijo from Tucson, Arizona. And there's that first laser serve from the gunner. Paul Brady, our number one, serve, wearing the Edel shirt. Abraham Montijo, Tucson, Arizona, newly acquired sponsored athlete from Edel Handball at edelhandball.com.
Dave, I think you can safely say through 30 seconds of this match that Paul Brady's hit a shot that no one else in this field has. Revolving door, step around into the left side wall with your right hand and drill a natural Irish whip hook straight down the right wall, 4 inches high from 37 feet.
Yeah. Second serve.
That was appealed and overturned. Originally called good by the referee.
These two sparred, Dave, at the Friday night fights in Tucson in March, where Abraham composed himself very well against Paul Brady, impressed not only the locals who are his supporters, but also Paul Brady. I think Paul Brady knows that
second serve.
He's in for it here.
Well, as you recall, the score there was pretty favorable for Abraham Montijo, who was defeating Paul for most of that match until Paul came back to defeat Abraham at the very end.
Just can't make those kind of errors against Paul.
1-0. Over.
You know, Dave, when you get hit with one of those revolving door return of serves early in the match, it almost feels like a shot you weren't expecting. Now, if that happens in the middle of the second game and you've already got your sweat going, it's nothing more than a little annoyance.
Short. Short. Second serve.
Paul has that ability to hit pass shots that just don't come off the back wall. He's hitting them harder than anybody, yet his bounced twice before the back wall when almost every other player's bounces just once and into the back wall.
Yeah, it's just such a different look to it.
Point. Four serve 0. Short. Second serve.
Score here is 4-0.
Zero serves 4. Short. Second serve.
Paul Brady's left hand has really developed over the years. I mean, his whole overall game has developed, Dave, but that left hand of his so solid now. Just a flick of the wrist down the left wall.
Second serve. Long.
There's a very unusual double fault.
What's that? If the cropping is wrong on the left, it's showing the right wall on the left side of the frame. You'll see when we go there.
4 serve 0. Short. Fields, I called it short. One disagrees. Oh, you agree with both? Agree.
We're at 4-0 here. Referees
Second serve.
appealing that call. You know, nice dig there from Abraham, but not good enough to make it to the front wall. Dave, it's very interesting about Paul Brady, who is, you would have to say, he's neurotic when it comes to the gear that he wears and his legacy. Last tournament, you saw him break out the Edel eye guards, you know, taking them out of a pack and putting them on before the finals.
Yeah.
That's something I would have never saw Paul
Yeah.
Brady do. This
Second
time,
serve.
he's wearing the Edel shirt,
Yeah.
the eye guards. I think by the next tournament, he's going to be sponsored by them. He's going to have the shoes, the gloves, Now, I know they don't have a shoe brand yet, but I just
Yeah.
have a feeling that's the next thing to come out. I mean, Paul's just slowly saying, here's something I'm going to put on. I'll have the gloves at the next tournament.
Yeah. Well, I think what Paul's found out is that it's extremely comfortable gear.
Well, the shirt is the best shirt I've
Second
ever
serve.
put on my life.
Yeah.
Ever, period. I mean, you could wear it to a funeral and feel good. Then again, I was never a fan of my father's.
Point.
It's the only funeral I
8
went
serve
to.
0.
8 serve 0. Hate to make this about me.
Point. 9 serve 0.
We're at 9-0 now.
Point.
Boy, Paul Brady, this is
10 serve 0. Short. Second serve.
it's one of those difficult ones, Dave, where as a player you need to get on the board.
Point.
Not going to do it like that. For
Timeout.
just sanity
Scores 11
purposes,
serve 0. 1 minute.
you have to use all of your timeouts and ask for glove changes because you don't want this to turn out to be a 7-minute match.
You know, Paul Brady doesn't even have to do anything special. He's got everyone so psyched out before the match even starts that guys feel like they have to hit perfect shots, and Paul Brady doesn't even take it out of second gear. I don't even know how to drive a stick, Dave, and I think second gear is kind of when you're just in the parking lot, right? Yeah, so he's in the parking lot right
Yeah.
now. It's not even like he's not even on a 2-lane highway yet.
Can we
know?
go back to the fact that you don't know how to drive a stick?
Well, let's
mean,
talk
I
about it. I
love-
wish I could. I want to be able to.
I love the sport of handball and all,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'd rather talk about the stick.
Tried to
Also not surprised.
drive Steve Malay's stick shift in
I'm sure that
1995.
that turned out to be a $1,700 mistake for Steve.
Well, how much is it to replace 4 tires and a transmission?
Well, $1,700, and,
Okay.
and I did the conversion already in
Yeah,
my brain.
okay.
Today, we'd be closer to about $3,000, depending on
Oh,
Time in.
the place that you went in
11 serve
Arizona would have been about $3,000.
yeah.
11-0 here.
Over.
And
Oh.
Paul has taken a couple of bullets, one
Check the
in the
ball.
gluteus maximus, and that one, Dave, in the rib cage.
That one hit the.
And that was with a sidearm fist, which is probably the hardest shot you could hit.
11 serve 0.
I mean, Dave, you talk about a pitcher getting hit with a line drive.
Wow,
Oh my
what's that?
God.
Are you serious?
Point.
Did you see that shot?
Was that Air Brady right there? Off
12
both
serve
feet?
0.
That's unreal. This is where Paul's really good when he does some of that methodical stuff. You don't get to see it too often, and then he hits the ball directly into the ground. Love that camera angle. I'm going to say that every time we go there, too, for some reason. But Paul,
Second
you know,
serve.
we've seen Paul over the years take balls like that in the oblique area where he got hit. You know, that really does hurt right there. And Paul, since then, is just, like, lively, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he went off both feet for
12
air
serve 0.
whip kill on the very next play.
Short.
Like he was watching Sean Lenning play and said, you know, these guys talk too much about Sean making these
Second
shots.
serve.
I'll show you I have it too whenever I want to do it. But see, this is the way Paul Brady could play. Excuse me, Sean Lenning could play
Yeah.
if he wanted to play this style and get away from all the freakish
0-6
shots and
ball.
only use it when he wants to. See, look at that, how beautiful that is. That's a modified underhand Dave Chapman
12 serve
paddle
0.
with an Irish whip flavor to it.
Short. Second serve.
You're playing against Abraham Montijo here. He's ranked about 9th or 10th on the tour, and Paul Brady has just given us every type of shot that he knows to this point. It's really unreal that way he's able to set up perfectly. And, you know, you say, well, I want to emulate Paul in the way that he can get the ball. First of all, you have to do the best leg exercises you've ever done in your life. Secondly, you have to be born with some amazing timing abilities.
Oh, there's certainly a lot of genetics involved, because you can't, not anyone can just do this, no matter how many hours you put in.
You say, well, let the ball drop, but then there's a timing issue.
Yeah.
It's not about just letting it drop. You can let it drop and you could not be set up straight. And look at that kill shot there, 15-0. Paul Brady defeats Abraham Montijo. And we're going to take that O at the end of his name and put a 0 there, because
double O?
I'm telling you, that was a horrible display of ball. But then what could you do with Paul Brady in that moment?
Well, you know, Abraham had 3 setups that he could have scored points, but, you know, made hand errors on all 3, and those are really his only chances. Made a couple of other mistakes, but, you know, it's Paul Brady doing what he does, and I think you're seeing Paul more focused in the early round here than we've seen him in the last couple of events, because he knows tomorrow morning he's playing Sean Lenning.
Yeah, that's tough.
And he doesn't want to go in there, you know, lethargic or not being acclimated to the courts and to this event. So he's going to go and push himself a little bit more in the opening rounds. We've seen him earlier in this season giving up 5 to 7 and even 14 points in the opening rounds, you know, as he worked his way into the event. But doesn't seem to be his modus operandi here.
Well, not to be an apologist, because you know me, I don't like to make excuses. I like to blame people and point the finger, but I don't make excuses for things. Abraham Montijo, about an hour before the match, discovered that his backpack full of everything that he owns was stolen or taken or misplaced. I'm trying to be nice in the way I'm using it, but he doesn't have anything. So he's had to borrow shoes. Even though he has an Edel shirt on now, it's just that he's borrowing that from somebody who has one. So everything that he owns is gone. Now, that has to play a little bit in, because, you know, I switched shoes one day. It took me about 2 weeks before I can actually get back into feeling like, you know, just the slope of the insoles were just off enough that my, you know, my calves were burning. You know, it's just not, my muscles weren't used to that. So Abraham's doing that. There's a little excuse I built in there. But talking about Sean Lenning, his stuff was stolen as well. And they were both together at the same time, and somebody broke into the car or whatever the story is and took all of their gear out of the car. Luckily for Sean, this person wasn't a size 13. They left his shoes, so he at least has his shoes there. He had to also put all of his stuff together. That throws you out off your rhythm. First of all, you're instantly upset.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people can use that to their advantage, but it didn't seem good to me when the way Sean is not happy anyway, it seems like. And
I had a pair of shorts stolen in 2007 at an event, and
you're
I'm still
mad.
thinking about it. Yeah.
Well, I don't doubt that.
Those were my broadcasting shorts, too. Those weren't even my playing shorts. I'm still thinking about that. So I can't imagine how upsetting that would be.
Well, you're watching the Race for 8. We're at the Olympic Club in San Francisco, California, where Paul Brady just defeated Abraham Montijo in the game that we just watched on this broadcast, game number 1, 15-0, and DV here deflecting some of that loss toward the loss of clothing that Abraham and in the future Sean Lenning, who earlier defeated Eric Torres by a pretty lopsided score of 15-3, 15-7.
And those two had battled in tiebreakers previously.
Boy, Paul hits that ball hard, right down the middle, right at Abe's feet. Abe's standing there and still can't get his hand really fully on it, and you would think that Abraham, out of everybody in this whole tournament, would understand power. He plays against guys like you and Sean Lenning and Luis Moreno back in Tucson. But this Paul Brady power is different.
1-0.
It's just heavy.
I think it's the difference between an F1 car and a NASCAR. I mean, both are going 200 miles per hour, but I'm sure, Dave, when you're driving that F1 and you've got that pinpoint suspension and turning and 0 to 100,
2-0.
it's a different kind of power.
Short.
I don't know why I'm talking about cars. I don't know anything about them, clearly. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
Second
In
serve.
fact, I've never even been in a sports car in my life.
Well, you can't use a stick shift. We know that.
Yeah.
You'd ask the driver what that thing was. What are you doing there?
Why are you here when I could just
3-0.
pull that lever down? So much easier.
Well, it's a stick shift. You push in the clutch with your left foot, and you
4-0.
switch to the gear that you want to go to. But can't your car just do that for you automatically? Not so much. Look at that shot.
Just incredible.
That's unreal. And a timeout called there from
Timeout, score 5-0.
Montijo, and
1 minute.
rightly so. I mean, that was a laser down the right wall. Paul Brady feeling no effects from the flight from Ireland, knowing that his opponent just lost all of his clothes, lost his clothes out on the street. Paul Brady doesn't care. He's in there just playing handball. I mean, hey, I'll tell you this. As much as it looks like Paul's just having a good time and doing what he's doing, he just looks unbeatable. I mean, I think this Paul Brady right here is just as good as any Paul Brady that's ever played.
Well, I was thinking, when is this guy going to slow down? It seems like not only is he not slowing down, but he's getting better. You know, a match that no one really talks about, but en route to winning his 9th USHA Nationals in June, he just ran right through Killian Carroll, who had just defeated Emmett Peixoto and Luis Moreno and Dermot Nash, and he blew him away in 30 minutes. And Killian Carroll, arguably the second best player in the sport right now.
Yeah.
You know, if you're talking internationally, he doesn't travel here often, but this is what he's doing to people. Young guys,
5-0.
veterans, it doesn't matter. Sean Lenning, who looked about as good as we've ever seen through 3 rounds in Houston, beat him in 28 minutes, outscoring him 30-10.
Yeah, it's unreal, really. This, either you really appreciate it while it's here and embrace it while it's happening, or you get negative and turn against it. And you know, I like the former more so than the latter, because
Well, you're a positive person.
Once he's gone, you know, we're gonna just have memories. So you know, you should just embrace this and you know, be part of the zero club.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I got beat by Paul Brady, 15-0. That's.
And 0?
No,
Well,
I don't know if you want to embrace that second 0. But the first one,
Yeah.
the first one, yes.
Oh.
That's a nice serve there. I like it.
Abe hit his best shot of the match there, and Paul just neutralizes that.
Oh, that's a strange shot from Paul.
Yeah.
Cut out.
And a rare miss from Brady. Abraham going for that first point of the match.
Yeah.
0-0-8.
We've got two popcorn matches coming up next, Dave. I mean, I can't wait. Unfortunately, I won't be a part of them, but I still can't wait for you to text me those updates.
And guess what? First point scored here. Montijo on the board, 1-8.
1-8.
That was a nice left-handed kill shot too.
Second serve.
I'll be on the ferry cruising around the bay.
Well, while you're out there, why don't you jump in and don't hold your breath.
Huh. You see, Abraham, Dave, doesn't get behind that shot. He stands and waits for the ball, swings with the ball off of his right foot, a foot behind it. That's something he's got to work on, Dave. See, Paul there is slightly behind the ball, but he uses his right leg for leverage, pushes off the right leg, generates that stability with it and power. Remember, Dave, just 2 events ago, Abraham Montijo took 5th place. And now here he is, outscored 25-1 in just 12 minutes.
Wow, Paul. If Abraham's lucky to get the ball back, Paul just keeps him totally on the run.
Short. Second serve. Point. 12 serves 1. Point.
Paul takes just a little bit of off of that, Dave. And he is able to keep that control perfect
13
down that
serves
right
1.
wall. Is there anything worse, Dave, than when you're playing a player that you feel like you're outmatched against and then they start making lucky shots? Well, what about a guy like Paul who's hitting at 100 miles an hour
Point.
every shot, and then he decides to hit the first soft one and it's absolutely perfect?
Yeah.
Match
You say,
point, serves 1.
he's got everything. This is a big setup for Abraham. Going down the right wall here. Misses
Paul's
his
there.
shot.
Right back to Paul. And this is where Paul's been his most vulnerable, when he has match point.
I think he's just letting Abe.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wrist. Side out.
Wasn't sure if he called a double bounce there. I guess it was.
No, he called a wrist shot on himself
serves
off
14.
that side wall, which he didn't have to do, but he did.
How
He's
can
a
you hit it off
gentleman.
your wrist there?
Well, he short hopped the side wall, and the ball flipped off his, maybe
Side
a
out.
double hit. You know, hit his hand and rolled up to his wrist.
14 serves 1.
Good shot there from Abraham.
That ball hit the camera, so I'm assuming that was a.
Is Paul taking a selfie there?
Yeah, he did. He waved
Oh.
to the crowd after he fixed our camera.
1 serves 14.
See, this is the Paul Brady that we've kind of grown to know and love here. He's a little bit more jovial.
This is the Thursday night barbecue Paul Brady.
Right. Well, outscoring your opponent 29
2
to
serves
1
14.
in your opening match, you can wave at a camera, I guess. Look
Oh
at that.
my.
Are you serious? And he has that, which I've
14
never
serves
seen
2.
before. 14 to 2, the wide flop kill. Paul almost did a no-look rollout, looking at the camera, which
2 serves 14.
wouldn't be surprised if he'd master that soon. 2 to 14.
Point. 3 serves 14. Side out.
And there's a side out. Abraham now at 3 points.
14 serves 3. Short. Second serve.
Wow.
Side out.
Good return from Abraham there.
3 serves 14.
You know, Dave, this is our first time in San Francisco and Paul Brady's first time in San Francisco. A lot of these people here bought tickets specifically to see Paul Brady. They're lifetime handball players,
4 serves 14.
but they've never seen Paul Brady. This is a treat. And Dave, I think Paul knows that every time he plays, there's people watching him that have never seen him play before. And I'm
14
sure,
serves 4.
knowing Paul, he wants to give him something to remember. He's going to give Abe something to remember there in the form of a welt.
14 serves 4.
Paul looks like he's trying to get a little court time here, Dave.
Yeah.
Over.
And I don't mean TV time. I mean actual, he wants some court time. This is
14
part of his
serves 4.
routine. He'll go to the gym and run the track and
Without. 4 serves 14. That out. 14 serves 4. Match. The game.
14 to 4, 15 to 4 now as Paul Brady takes down Abraham Montijo and will force his way into the quarterfinals here tomorrow, a match that you will watch in the morning at race48.com. We have a really good one coming up. Vic Perez and Luis Moreno up next. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a bit as we give the film crew just a slight break as we get ready for this next one. Vic Perez, Luis Moreno, men's round of 16 from the Olympic Club in San Francisco. Dave Vincent and Dave Fink. We'll be back in just a bit. Stick with us.
Are you getting this, honey?
Oh, prime time. We are rolling.
All right, Mama's gonna bring it home. Mama's gonna bring it home. Okay.
Come on, watch this guy.
Oh, backwards.
Oh, don't. Oh.
It went into Bob and Carol's yard. Oh, no? Okay, here it comes.
Oh, Mom!
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
All right, let's see what you can do. Let's go.
They might surprise you.
Let's go.
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.